Hello, everyone. This is Shawrya, your host for the VC podcast. And today I have a very special guest, Mr. Ajay Modi. He's been working with Piper Serica for the last 8 years, and he happens to be, I see, very seasoned professional, especially when it comes to making investments, equity research in both private as well as public markets. He's also a mentor with us for the VC fellowship. Really glad to have you here, Ajay. Thank you so much for taking out time from this for this. I know it's not easy. VCs are usually very busy. I've learned that by my own experience now.
Thank you, Shawrya. Pleasure to be on the show. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if VCs are really very busy. A lot of times we have to show that we are very busy. That's a part of the job. But at the same time, uh, the VC ecosystem is a very well-paying ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
So if you're making money, you need to enjoy that money also. So keep your weekends to not be very busy.
Right. No, I think that's fair. So my first question is this is a question that I personally really like because I try to kind of connect the dots in terms of, was the foundation there from the beginning, and does it really matter to be a very sincere kid when you're growing up? So my question is, how sincere were you as a kid, as a child? Were you were you a backbencher, or were you somebody who really listened to the teachers? You really studied hard. How did that pan out? How did your school life look like?
My parents will be able to answer that better. But okay, so I have two phases of my life, and first is from class 0 to 4,
Right.
where I was very sincere. And I remember class 4, I ranked second in the entire 3 divisions that we had. Class second, I was again rank second holder.
Mm.
Class 5 onwards, I've been a backbencher. So I have been a backbencher to the extent that if me and my crew, I would say, we've done all sorts of not so sweet things with
Right.
our fellow classmates, with our teachers, with even our principals. So I don't know. I would say that class 5 onwards, yeah, I have been a slightly notorious kid. In fact, I'll tell you a very candid one. But a lot of my school friends who were not friends then, they are friends now, probably because I'm a VC. But a lot of them tell me that, look, we always thought that in this school you were very egoistic. So I said that look, in class 7, I had nothing to be egoistic about. I don't have anything right now also, but yeah. So as a growing child, I was notorious, but I was studious at the same time. So
Okay.
I never failed in my in school journey. Even in my junior college, I decided to, or rather, my parents decided that I should go to IIT. I didn't end up going there, but
Your
my parents decided. Yeah, so my parents decided that I should be
Right.
going to an IIT. So I enrolled into a JE program at Thakur College in Mumbai. So it was a kind of mingled program between class 11, 12 plus JE. So I kind of did that. Didn't score very well in JE, of course. So if that tells you the answer, I was not a very studious kid.
Right.
Scored decent enough in AIEEE, in MH Maharashtra CET and all of that. Ended up going to an engineering school in Pune. Did So I'm a BTech in electronics and telecommunication. Unlike Mumbai University or a lot of other state or regional universities, Pune has so 8 semesters. All of them are universities. There is no internal college level exam.
Okay.
So, and Pune University does not have a. At a university level, you don't have. Their rate of students who've been all clear through 8 semesters is last I read in 2020 that was 7.5%. So, and fortunately, I've been one of those 7.5%. So, all my 8 semesters, I have never had a backlog in engineering. So, a lot of my friends say that you didn't do engineering quite well because without a backlog you can't do engineering. So, but I don't. So yeah. I mean, in a nutshell, a studious and a notorious kid at the same time.
So, when did you find out about venture capital? I mean, is this something that you had heard of back in college or back in school? I don't think so. I don't think back in school. But is it something that you explored in college? Did you do some kind of startup internships back at that time? Or how did you kind of find out that this is something that you could build a career in?
When I was in college, really, there was no venture ecosystem in India.
Right.
I don't know if I should say it. Am I an old person here? Probably yes. So I finished my engineering in the year 2014, so 10 years back.
Right.
10 years back, when I finished my engineering, or when I was in engineering school, there was the aspiration of folks, at least in the engineering world, was never startups. And startups were not there. I mean, we barely had a Flipkart in 2014, right?
Right.
So there were no real startups, at least not in Mumbai, not in Maharashtra. Bangalore still had something, but folks in Mumbai, Pune, not really. For people like us, the right place to go and do our internships were either automobile companies, because Pune has a lot of them, or it was IT services companies, because again, engineering. So,
Right.
So back then, not really ever. I had never aspired or thought of VC as a career, let alone investing as a career. So that was never the plan. In fact, till the time I finished my engineering, I never had a plan. I didn't have a career plan as such. So I got a placement from my college to work with a KP of Thomson Reuters, again based out of Pune, and I got a role as a product manager. Thomson Reuters has a tool called Icon, so I got a role as a product manager there. But at the same time, when I was in college, in the college also I was a backbencher, but I didn't. I was not notorious. Not troubling anyone, but using my time sitting at the back bench to read more about economics, more about financial world, financial services, more about NISM, the NSE Education Board has a curriculum or a course in NISM, Investment Analyst program. So I enrolled for that. It was a digital course. I enrolled for that, got the books home, took them to college. While I was in my hostel, I used to read those. So I was very interested in economics and finance, but didn't have a career plan. I didn't even have a plan to do an MBA. That was not there in my mind. But by the time I finished my engineering, I got placed in this company which was working with Thomson Reuters on their product management role. And 1 month into that, I decided, boss, this is not something I want to do. So I worked up to my reporting manager there, saying that, look, I want to get into investment research. So he said, you have no qualification.
Yeah.
I said, I'm an engineer, yaar, ask me about it. So he said, no, but most of the people in here who are into the research side either have CFAs or CAs or MBAs as degrees, something into finance as a degree to say that they know finance. I said, degrees are only so good that they tell you that this person knows about that domain. So I don't have a degree, but you test me, no? Give me a fair chance to prove myself. So he said, okay, fair. He put me to an interview in the research department. And again, because this was coming from interest and not from some push, I knew a lot of things without even going to a finance college. So I cleared that interview, got a internal transfer to research. So that's how really my career as in finance really started. Meanwhile, when I was there, I also did level 1 and level 2 for CFA. Level 3 happened very late in 2020 and 21, around that. But so I took up CFA as a education. I also did. No, actually not. So when I was there in TR, I actually did a course diploma in investment management from this place called CISI Institute. It's a London-based institute. This is a digital program they run. So I did that, learned a little more. But when I was with TR, got exposure to work with a lot of very high quality. I was a vendor. My organization was a vendor to them. Folks like Aberdeen Asset Management, Nomura, BMW Group, Bank of Singapore, etc. So happened to do a lot of financial modeling, number crunching, pitch decks, etc., etc. Did all of that, and it was very interesting and exciting at the same time. And then one day I decided, because that job was again in Pune, and I am someone born and brought up in Mumbai, so I was not very happy with Pune as a city. So, and a lot of people say this: once a Mumbaikar, always a Mumbaikar. Right? So, Mumbai is a city where it's the survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
It's a very fast life. 7 o'clock in the morning, the city is full. Roads are full of traffic. 12 o'clock in the night, roads are full of traffic. Right. So, used to a lifestyle like that. So, came back. Then one fine day, I got a call from Piper Serica. Would you like to join? I went for an interview. I really enjoyed talking to Ajay, who's the founder of the company. And that's how it started. So I was essentially the only employee. Abhay had a research analyst who was leaving, so I was replacing him. Except for Abhay and Rajni, who are the founders of the company, I was the only employee. That's how it started. Right. So it was a leap of faith, I would say, but that's how life had been so far. Everything I did was leap of faith. So I said, okay, one more, and I started there. I started here, Piper Serica, in 2015. I met Abhay in November 2015, and my joining date was fixed as December 5, 2015. Between that, Abhay was going on a vacation. So I got selected the day I interviewed. I was told that I'm selected then and there, came back home, and then next day I got a call from his office saying that we will be discussing a company called JustDial once you join. So I said, okay, interesting. Right. I did no equity research back then, right? But and so that's why, because I didn't know real equity research, so far whatever I had done was more of financial modeling, pitch decks, etc. I tried to read a little bit on equity research, didn't get enough content. This is back in 2015 I'm talking about. So didn't have access to any research reports, anything of that. So too naive to know how to get them.
Right.
So I started reading about JustDial, started understanding their business as a customer, both as someone who's listed on the platform and someone calling to find out about a listing. And again, it was very interesting. I was very fascinated. Have always been so, to know more about businesses. So I spent a lot of time, learned a lot. 5th December when I joined, I had a chat with Ajay. He said, have you done some work on JustDial? I said, yes, I have. And I told him everything. And then he said, okay, we will be meeting the promoters of the company.
Right.
That was like a shock for me. I was a 23-year-old guy, and I am supposed to be meeting the founder of a listed company.
Right.
So I didn't know how to. I didn't understand how to feel about that. But then we went for that meeting. It went well because I had done whatever research I could. I had made my notes. So the guy across the table was the CFO of the company. He was also very intrigued by the kind of research that I had done as a young kid. So that's how essentially my career as an investment research started. So JustDial essentially is the first company I looked at. coincidentally, the stock is literally at the same price it was in 2015. So,
Right.
so that's essentially what was the start. Piper Serica was managing money for friends and family, largely into listed ecosystem. The company and founders were investing some capital in startups also. So got an exposure to know more about companies early on. Got to interact with a company called Khatabook. We gave seed capital to them. So that was the journey. Then in 2022, so in 2019 we set up our SEBI registered PMS.
Right.
We also set up a fund in Mauritius to have NRIs and non-Indians to invest in India. And 2022 we decided that we will set up a AIF. It's an angel fund. We had planned to raise 100 crores, ended up raising 170 crores, closed capital raise for time being, and then recently last month opened it again for new investment. The idea is to take the fund to about 300 crores, and we are already at 220. So yeah, I mean, we are about $10 million away from getting to 300 crores. So that's how essentially journey as a investor or an investment research analyst started back in 2015, largely with listed universe, because the private investments were few and far between. And then came 22 when we decided to set up a VC fund. So that's where I am now. So I wear both hats. We're investing in early stage founders, and at the same time the largest of the largest companies like a Titan, Reliance, etc.
So, so Ajay, my question was, I think you were one of the first investors in Khatabook, right? So, what did you see in the founder at that time, and what did make you, actually put in a check? Because I think at that point of time it was quite early. Although, so that was that also one of the first early stage investments that you actively looked at?
So when it was our proprietary capital, I was not a very active part of doing that, and we didn't spend too much time. It was always talking to the founders, and since it was very small checks as individuals, right? So about a few lakh rupees, not more. So didn't spend too much time. But specifically on Khatabook, again, when we came in, it was before the company got into Y Combinator. So, I mean, they were pre-revenue. Ravish was building a SMS app, which was called Kite. And Kite essentially was an app which would decrypt all the SMSs into promotions, into financial, into spam, and create like a ledger inside your SMS app for you to manage your different bank accounts. So, but it was really Ravish and team and their tech capability, the coding skills that we were backing. We didn't know, or we didn't envisage what the company would become.
Fair enough. So you talked about your journey from being an engineer to essentially becoming an investor, right? Do you think that pursuing a finance degree would have been better in the retrospect?
Not really.
Not really.
I would not recommend folks to. When it comes to finance degree, I have very high regards for the CFA curriculum. Some regards for the CA curriculum also, but it is very dated and it is very accounting oriented. So, is someone who's doing CA already geared up to take a VC role? The answer is no. Is someone who's doing an MBA geared up to take a VC role? Again, the answer is no. Then what's yes? So, very simple. From the way I look at, or the way we hire, right? We want to understand or test whether folks understand businesses.
Yeah.
Numbers, spreadsheet, financial understanding of valuations, understandings of P&L, cash flow, balance sheet comes in very later. You have to first understand business, what are the key drivers of a business, what is capital, what is equity, what is debt, what is the value of each of these, what is it that is really required to build a business.
Right.
So that to me is a very, very primary requirement from a candidate if I were to hire. So then what's the right course they should be coming from? It could be anything.
Yeah.
They should someone who will or who will really be a successful VC professional, and when I say successful, all the way up to being a partner, someone who really understands and has enough passion about businesses, someone who has very, very strong observation skills. These are what I would say are primary skills for becoming an investment analyst, whether it is for public market or private market. But understanding of businesses right from the top to the bottom is something that is very, very important. And I haven't come across too many B schools or too many other financial courses who train into this. CFA is one which does that very well. But other than CFA, I haven't come across, honestly. I'm not promoting CFA, but I haven't come across B schools which have very good curriculum around investment research.
So you think that the first principles of the business is actually what matters. So even if somebody hasn't, say, pursued CFA but understands how businesses essentially operate, or the basics of being able to figure out if a business is going in the right direction or not, do you think that is enough for somebody to be a part of this industry or sector?
That is a good start, but that is important. That is not enough, but that's a good start, and that's an important point, I would say. It takes off from there.
I think one of the things that I've noticed is that VC as a sector is very, very well. I mean, everybody knows everyone. It's just that, and it's also very, very referral driven. Probably because so many VCs are spoiled for choices. There are just too many people who are applying for VC roles, and very few of them are actually getting shortlisted, right? So there's a demand and supply mismatch from that perspective. So how important are networking skills in this space according to you from a hiring perspective? And is it really important for folks who aspire to be a part of this sector to know at least a few people so that they can actually get a foot in the door?
Okay, so that's a very good thought, very good question. Let me put VC as an ecosystem aside for a moment. And this is what we say in India, that to be successful in India, you need to know someone who knows someone who knows someone, right?
Yeah, right.
So now that means that essentially whether you're in the VC ecosystem or anywhere else, you need to have good networking skills. Whether as long as you're in the front office, as they call it, as long as you're in a people-facing role, whether it is sales, whether it is investments, whether it is fundraising, or whether it is anything else. As long as you are people-facing role, networking is the most important part. You need to have networking skills, but to start off in the ecosystem, do you need to already have a very solid network? The answer is no. You can build it. You can build it as long as you have the intent. So again, I would test intent and ability. People have the ability, but do they have an intent? If they have an intent, then they can build it. I don't think it's I would not ask that as a checkbox while hiring.
Okay. That's a very interesting opinion, because I've heard a lot of people, sharing the contrary. That, what happens is that 1,500, 2,000 people end up applying for a role with a, very well-known VC, and then what happens is that they have to only shortlist like one or two folks, because VC teams are essentially very small, right? Anywhere from 7, 8 to maximum 40, 50 people, even for the largest of the funds per se. And then it kind of boils down to a select group of people, and then, if you know somebody, that obviously gives you a direct edge in the sense that, okay, you can trust this person and they're likely to stick around for a certain period of time, which I think think is something that VCs do tend to prioritize, as far as I've noticed. So that's the opinion that I've heard a lot. So, I mean, when you were getting started, you did not have any networks in this space when Piper Serica happened. It was an entirely cold outreach from their end. Wow,
Yeah,
that is very
I
interesting.
never had any network in this space.
Hmm.
I was a nobody in that space. So
Right.
uh, yeah, I mean, even when we set up our VC fund, for
Hmm.
that matter, did we know a lot of people in the space? The answer is no. I mean, forget me as a VC research analyst or a candidate or a professional in a VC world. Even as a VC fund, I didn't know too many people.
Hmm.
When we started the fund, it was, I think, June 2022 is when we got our license.
Hmm.
October 2022 is when we made our first investment. Back then, did we know? Like, probably up. So he did, but did we have an active network? The answer is no. But in the last 1 year, probably right now, I am at a space where everyone knows Piper Serica. They may
Yeah.
not know me. They may know probably my colleague Brendan. He is someone who works very actively with other founders, other VC funds, incubators, accelerators, investment banks. He's someone who manages that for us. So every place that I would go to, they would say, "Yeah, I know Brendan. I'm well connected with Brendan," or other folks in the team, Nitya, Atik, etc. So in the last 1 year, we've really built. Maybe it is a magic that happened. We were at the right place at the right time. I would probably say that, but it's really the quality of investments that you make that kind of help you build the connect. And again, as you rightly said, this is a very small ecosystem.
Yeah.
So it takes just about 3 to 6 months for someone to get deep into the ecosystem. Now, if I don't have that desire to socialize, then I will never have that network.
Right.
If I have the desire to, then there is enough that someone can solve for.
So when we talk about a transition from, say, investing in public sector to private sector, again, they are both different monsters, right? In terms of what you need to look at and the skill sets that you need to have. So how did that transition work out for you? And also considering that there are way more number of people who are still investing in the public sector, right, as compared to private sector. So somebody is actually looking to, start considering startup investments or investments in private sector seriously. What are the tips or the advice that you would want to share with them from your own experience in this space?
Okay, so when I think about it loud, okay, so to start with, Shawrya, I don't really think the two are very different again.
Okay.
Because they are essentially businesses. The
Absolutely.
only difference that the way I see it, I may be completely wrong, which is okay, right? But the way I see it, honestly, when I'm looking at a large listed company,
Yeah.
I have a lot of data points. I have an operating history of that company for the last 10 years, right? I have valuation, I have peers, I have benchmarking. A lot of people in the ecosystem would know the promoters, so you can test the quality of the promoters and the management team. You have a very active engagement. They do quarterly con calls, roadshows, etc. So from that perspective, yes, there is a lot of information available there. So when we are investing in public markets, it's again, for me, it's a combination of three things: good businesses, great founders, and great valuations. And that's essentially the same that I can cut, copy, paste in VCs, right?
Yeah.
Good businesses, great founders, and great valuation. So only difference being in VC space, there is limited data points, limited operating history of the business. So we are backing a lot on the founder or the founders. We generally don't prefer to invest in single founder companies. So we are banking a lot on founders and how hungry those founders are. But at the same time, economic model of the business becomes very, very important, and something that we can forecast with a lot of confidence, because we've kind of looked at businesses of similar size and shape or similar space in the listed space. So, do the two converge? Answer is yes.
Okay. So, what are the some of the investments that you've made in some early stage startups in the last couple of years? If you can share some of the companies that you're like really proud of, which according to you are doing well, and also wanted to understand a little bit on the thesis that Piper Serica as a fund has as compared to say other early stage investors.
Mhm. So let me take the second part first.
Sure.
Okay. So let me ask you this question: why are people so obsessed about this word called thesis? I came across someone who told me that I met one of your colleagues, and I thought that he didn't have a thesis behind the investments that he was talking about. So I mean, I want to ask you this question before I answer that. Why are people so obsessed about this word called thesis?
I think basically they're trying to understand the philosophy behind, or what are the kind of things that you particularly look at when you're making an investment, right? And thesis is probably the underlying philosophy behind the reasons that a fund decides to invest or doesn't decide to invest. And also probably because back when we were trying to raise our first round of funding, I still remember we got a lot of rejections because of the fact that our startup did not fit in their respective thesis, right? So that was like, oh, what is thesis, right? So we just did a Google search and we were like, okay, this is the philosophy that goes behind how a fund particularly operates. So yeah, I think that's probably where it comes from. It's those underlying reasons that you'd want to understand and look at.
Okay, fair. To my mind, I have this belief that the VC ecosystem is a little over. I mean, they've overbought this concept of
Right.
thesis.
It's a word at the end of the day, right?
It's a word, but
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people say that, do you have a thesis in that space? Because what does it mean? If I haven't invested in EVs, how will I already have a thesis in EVs? I mean, I don't understand, right? I will
Right.
only have a thesis about, say, cybersecurity or EV once I have met a couple of founders in that space.
Yeah.
So, again, today, for example, today we really don't have. I mean, we have met a couple of climate tech companies. Would you say we do have a thesis in climate tech? Answer is no.
Right.
Question is what is a thesis in climate tech? The thesis I run with is your business model economically sensible? Are you a founder who's capable of building a great team to execute your business plan? Are you in control of your business plan? Are you in control of your organization? And do you have a deep enough understanding of the market? If these three things tick the box, then that's what thesis is. Abhi isse zyada I don't know what climate tech customers are really looking for as a problem
Right.
to be solved. I am not a climate tech company, so how will I have that
Right.
evolved? So that's why I said, and someone who might be listening to this may get offended. So
Right.
no offenses to anyone, but look, I really think that VCs have overbought this concept of thesis. I mean, I would still say that I want to look at. So we don't do D2C. So now probably that's our thesis, right? We don't do D2C.
Right.
And probably I can give you an answer why I don't do D2C, and then I can say that's my thesis.
Right.
So I mean, D2C companies require a lot of capital,
Sure.
both in customer acquisition, branding, packaging, marketing, category creation, competition, working capital. It's a very capital intensive business. And it's a business which is already controlled by the big daddies of the world, the large consumer goods companies in the world.
Right.
So that's what our thesis is in D2C. I mean, it's antithesis probably.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, now if you ask me what's the thesis of the fund, very simple. We want to back very good founders. Idea is to back moonshot ideas, right? We've invested in a company called Pantheron that's into cybersecurity space. That's one company I would say I'm very proud of. And one reason I'm very proud of is that their solutions are used by, uh, uh, Indian Army is one of their customer. Indian Railway, the Vande Bharat, about 300 Vande Bharat trains are secured by their security systems for onboard and offboard communication. So that's a company I'm really very proud of. And more so also because of the way Srinivas, who's the founder of the company, runs the show. Very evolved founder. He understands product, understands sales, understands finance, has a very decent control of all the key moving blocks of a business. So then we have another company, the first investment from the fund, a company called Alt Mobility. Again, that's another company I am very proud of. And specifically because of the way they have grown with very limited capital. 2 years back, they had a fleet of 80 vehicles. They are into EV leasing. Today, they have a fleet of 8,000 vehicles. They are the second largest, or probably now the largest EV leasing company in the country.
Right.
So, in a matter of 2 years, they've gone from barely a crore or so of ARR to about $10 million ARR.
Wow.
And my pride comes from the founding team, really. More than what they have delivered, it's really the founding team. 5 founders, each of them has complementary skills, experts when it comes to their subject matter. And literally every participant in the EV ecosystem that I talk to, and if I bring the word alt mobility, they say, yeah, we know alt mobility very well. Not just the smaller ones, even when I'm talking to probably the Eicher or the Bajaj, they say that, yeah, we know alt mobility very well.
Right.
So, that's another company I'm very proud of. For that matter, I'm proud of each of the companies because we've backed very good founders. Now, if you kind of converge all of that, the thesis, Shawrya, is to back very good founders,
Right.
Running businesses very efficiently, solving problem at scale, either 100x lower cost or 100x better, 100x lower cost or 100x better efficiency or scale. Genuinely solving a problem. It is not that their solution is looking for a problem, but it's genuinely addressing a big pain point for their customer. It could be B2B, B2C, but genuinely addressing a need for the customer. But at the same time, running a very capital efficient shop. So great founders, great economic business model, run very capital efficiently. That's what is my simple thesis, if thesis is the right word.